Several of us are still using run-on sentences in our writing, so I want to just take some time and review what we learned about how to make compound sentences and what a run-on sentence is. How do we fix that? So let's get started. A run-on sentence occurs when two or more complete thoughts are incorrectly written as one sentence. So it's two or more thoughts put together as one sentence. Run-on sentences are confusing and difficult to read. Complete sentences need to have a subject and a predicate. Remember, the subject was like the main idea of the sentence. It tells who or what the sentence is about. The predicate tells what the subject does or is. So Mr. Parks is our principal. Mr. Parks is who the sentence is about. Is our principal is what Mr. Parks is. Max and Ben are in the 3rd grade. Max and Ben are our subjects. Are in the 3rd grade is the predicate. The waitress dropped the tray of food. The waitress is who the sentence is about. Dropped the tray of food is what she did. The dogs in our neighbor's yard barked all night. The dogs in our neighbor's yard is the subject. Barked all night is the predicate. And if you remember when we had learned in class how to diagram our sentences, we talked about finding the verb. If you can find the verb, that shows you where the predicate starts. So from the verb on, the rest of the sentence is the predicate. Barked was my verb, so barked all night is the predicate, the complete predicate. The simple predicate would be that just the verb. Allie and I studied for our science test. Our verb is studied. Studied for our science test is the complete predicate. He called his parents after the movie. Called is our verb. Called his parents after the movie would be the complete predicate. All of the kids in the gym laughed. Laughed is our verb, and there's nothing after the word laughed, so laughed by itself is the complete predicate.
This is the tale of Mr. Morton. Mr. Morton is who? He is the subject of our tale, and the predicate tells what Mr. Morton must do. Mr. Morton walked down the street. Mr. Morton walked. Mr. Morton talked to his cat. Mr. Morton talked. Hello, cat. You look good. Mr. Morton was lonely. Mr. Morton was. Mr. Morton is the subject of the sentence, and what the predicate says he does. Mr. Morton knew just one girl. Mr. Morton knew. Mr. Morton grew flowers for Pearl. Mr. Morton grew. Mr. Morton was very shy. Mr. Morton was. Mr. Morton is the subject of the sentence, and what the predicate says he does. The subject is a noun. That's a person, place, or thing. It's who or what the sentence is about. And the predicate is the verb. That's the action word that gets this subject up and out. Mr. Morton wrote Pearl a poem. Mr. Morton wrote. Pearl replied in the afternoon. Pearl replied by a note. Mr. Morton was very nervous. Mr. Morton was. Mr. Morton is the subject of the sentence, and what the predicate says he does. The cat stretched, the sun beat down, a neighbor chased his kid. Come here, kid, come on. Each sentence is completed when you know what the subject did. Mr. Morton knocked on her door. Mr. Morton knocked. Mr. Morton sat on her porch. Yes, he just sat there and rocked. nervous man. When she opened up the door, he ran. Mr. Morton climbed up his stairs. Mr. Morton climbed. Mr. Morton rhymed pretty words. Mr. Morton rhymed. Mr. Morton was lonely. Mr. Morton was until Pearl showed up with a single rose. Who says women can't propose? Now Mr. Morton is happy, and Pearl and the cat are too. They're the subject of the sentence, and what the predicate says, they do.
Okay, so here we have an example of a run-on sentence. It says, I like to play sports. My favorite sports are track and cross country. I like to run fast. So how can we fix this sentence? We actually have 3 different ideas here, all put together into one sentence. So what we need to do is add our punctuation. I like to play sports, period. And we would make the word my a capital letter. My favorite sports are track and cross country, period. I like to run fast. So we would fix it by placing in our punctuation and starting our new sentences with periods. Let's try one more. Bill plays the trumpet. He takes lessons on Mondays. This is 2 thoughts put together as one sentence. So we would say Bill plays the trumpet, period, capital letter, he takes lessons on Mondays. So I'd like you guys to go back, reread some of your writing that you've done, especially the narrative where you worked on rewriting the lead. Go back to that piece, read through, and make sure you do not have any spots where you have run-on sentences.